All right, so Abby on YouTube said, hey guys, I have another question for you. How were the health services in New Zealand? Rob seems to have been treated well and well attended upon. Do I have to take an insurance plan? Does travel insurance cover health services? I mean, just what do I do if I get sick or break a leg when I am in New Zealand? Hoping that doesn't happen though. And how do I take care of the following expenses, if any? Now, first up, he's referring to me. It looks like I've been well treated. Yes, I have had a couple of injuries in New Zealand and a couple of them on video, which was quite fun. I broke my arm, which is probably the biggest instance. And we put the video down here. It's actually a very funny video. So you can see actually how does it work when you break your arm in New Zealand. And also I had to be treated for some like pretty bad bites and stuff like that that got infected. So that's what he was referring to, but there is a lot of questions right here. So let's unpack everything. How were the health services in New Zealand? So just to get started on that, they are very professional and they are very plentiful. It's rather surprising how many hospitals are scattered around New Zealand, or even just small clinics, and how easy it is to get treatment around the country. There is really never a place. I feel like it's not stats that I do have from the government, but I feel like there's never a place where you're going to have to drive more than, let's say, 2 hours at max to get to a place where you get treated. And that's really if you're in a very remote area. Because even if you're in Milford Sound, they have like a small area where you can get treated if something happens. And Milford Sound is like 6 hours away from the next town. So it's kind of like... it's kind of really
There's
easy.
always one pretty close by or a quick drive away.
Yeah. So health services in New Zealand in general, very good. I have not been disappointed almost every time I needed something. Every time I went to a doctor, even if it's to a GP, which is a general practitioner, super easy as well. So nothing to complain about that. Just actually good surprises so far. Next section of your question is, do I have to take an insurance plan? Laura, do you want to cover that?
Yeah, well, if you are in New Zealand on a working holiday visa, then one of the actual criteria that you need to meet from Immigration New Zealand is that you do need to have travel insurance or a travel insurance policy. Otherwise, and any other visa, I think you don't really need to have travel insurance. It's not mandatory, although you might want to get some for some peace of mind. It really just depends on, I guess, what type of person you are. What else can we talk about then?
So insurance, not mandatory but recommended. Then the next stuff that he asks is, does travelers insurance cover health services? Well, this really depends on your policy, right? There is so many different policies that I can't really just tell you that yours does it. You have to read the terms and conditions of it. But as a general case, yes, it does cover health services. Now, the way it works, just so you understand, is that in New Zealand we have something called ACC, which stands for the Accident Compensation Corporation. Is that correct?
Something like that.
And so this thing actually kicks in for anyone in New Zealand that has an accident or has something that happens to them. So even if you are not from New Zealand, you will still be covered with that as part of just being in New Zealand. It's a general kind of universal
health insurance.
Yeah, basically. So it happens. That's how it works. Now that doesn't mean that everything is paid for, right? There is kind of a schedule of for, let's say, an X-ray, they will pay that much. For this, they will pay that much. And then you have to pay the excess. Now, honestly, it is very little kind of what you have to pay, but this is when your insurance kicks in. Now, if you have a travel insurance, you will then claim that from the insurance, and the insurance will pay the remaining amount. Now, when do you have to pay that? That depends on what is your insurance policy. Some of them will require you to pay it first, and then they will reimburse you later. And some of them will actually pay it right up front for you. Some of them will also add extra money just for travel disruption. So let's say, what happened to me? I broke my arm. Well, to be fair, there was no disruption because literally on the next day we were doing another activity. But if there was travel disruption, the insurance will actually kicks in, and then this is when the insurance is actually becoming really helpful. So that's basically how that will work. Now, as per normal health stuff, let's say you want to go to a GP, which again is general practitioner, that's your normal doctor, like your family doctor back home, and you feel like, oh, I have a bit of a travel bug, or like just something like that, then usually that's not covered. And I'm explaining you why. Every travel insurance has an excess, meaning that the excess is the fee that you still have to pay. So let's say that you have a big accident that costs $1,000, right? I'm just picking numbers out of the blue right here, but just to give you an idea, right? Let's say you have a big accident, you break your arm, and that costs $1,000. ACC, which is a universal cover in New Zealand, let's say we pay $500 of that. Now, for the remaining of the $500, you have to pay for it. So you pay for the $500. Now, out of this $500, you can claim it back from your insurance. But your insurance has a $250 excess, meaning that no matter what, on any claim, you have to pay $250. So the insurance will pay you the remaining amount of money, so $250. So ACC pay $500, you pay $250, and then the insurance pays $250, and that's basically how it works. So insurance get the best deal right here, to be quite honest. And so this is why, because there is an excess, usually GP, which will cost you between $30 to $80 in New Zealand, they usually fall below the excess, and that means that if your excess is $250 and you do a claim of $80, well, there is no need because it's lower than $250. So that's basically how that will work for a normal kind of going to the doctor or going to get a prescription and those kind of things.
Yeah.
So this is why we advise you.
I was just going to say, so just to summarize, travel insurance is best got if you are a bit scared of something really going wrong when you are in New Zealand. Otherwise, just general trips to the doctors is really affordable. The general price for overseas visitors going to the doctors is usually about 18 New Zealand dollars. But even if you have something really small, like you need to get a repeat prescription of something that you could usually get back home, then they usually are nice enough to reduce the price for you. So that's happened for me a couple of times as when I first arrived in New Zealand. So yeah, it is really, really affordable to just get the general health care in New Zealand, and prescription prices on top of that are really minimal. You're going to pay maybe about between 5 to 10 New Zealand dollars to pick up some pills at the pharmacy that you've been prescribed. So,
that is only if it's prescribed, because when it becomes prescribed, then it's subsidized by the ACC, and therefore it's become a little bit cheaper. If you actually just, let's say, want to buy some Panadol from the supermarket, then the slab of 20 will cost you $20. So yeah, it kind of it kind of balances out like that. All right, so that's basically everything. I think like you had a lot of questions, Abby, so I think that we covered most of it. Let us know in the comment below if we did, or if you have any follow-up questions on that. That's basically our take on how does medical travel insurance works in New Zealand, and how does the health system in New Zealand actually does work.
And if you do find any of our answers to the questions useful, make sure to like this video as well, and make sure you let us know if we are doing a good job or not. And also, if you are new to our channel, make sure you subscribe if you have any plans to come and travel in New Zealand, because that is pretty much what we're all about.
Yeah, perfect. But I want to say before that, make sure you check out the links below. We do put a lot of information about health in New Zealand, about medical and travel insurance, and we also have our recommendation, because we have done a lot of comparison of the different kind of health insurance in New Zealand, or travel health insurance for New Zealand, and we find some that we actually prefer over others. So make sure to check those out. All the links are in the description below.